What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to share with you what recently came out from Switzerland, why that's a big deal for us as investors and Lucid bigger picture, and also what ETFs are doing with Lucid. So I'm going to touch on all of that fun jazz, but before I get into any of that, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. And with that, let's get right to it. So hopefully everyone is having an amazing Friday. Looking at the live ticker at the very bottom, we are currently green, so that's always a good sign. 6.2 million for volume, 18.8 is the average, and 915,000 shares being purchased by institutions on the secondary market. So generally, this is very good volume for a Friday. So that's a good takeaway from that. But I did actually touch on the Switzerland aspect roughly about 2 weeks ago and why that's a very big deal for us as investors and bigger picture. So anytime Lucid does have one of their showcasings where they show off their technology, range, and so forth, it always is and equates to good free PR, if you want to see it as that. Of course, when it comes to Europe, that's a whole different ball game because there's a huge amount of demand that does come out of Europe. So as you can see, they did debut both the Dream Edition and Grand Touring in Zurich, which is always a good thing. And Dream Edition is also one of the big attributes for Europe because keep in mind, they're going to be relaunching the Dream Edition. I believe it is the P and the R. I don't know necessarily how many they're going to be doing. They haven't really announced that yet, but obviously it was a very big success in North America. Beside all of that fun stuff, they also did put down in their tweet, and while we're on the subject of debuts, we'll be opening up a studio in Geneva soon. And so my aspect and my viewpoint on studios is always a very good thing. These studios do exactly what they're intended. They raise up demand so people can go in to see what the Lucid is all about, Lucid Air or whatever it is, eventually going to be the Gravity, but they raise up demand, get in more reservations, which reservations work out to be more revenue for Lucid in the grand scheme of things. So this is why it's just a very beautiful life of Lucid, or if you're circle of life, if you want to call it that. So I think generally speaking, this is a very big deal. And the latest stats coming out from Europe is very, very good. So this is a quarter by quarter basis as far as the actual amount of sales from EVs. So the fact that despite the fear coming out in Q1 and Q2, sales are still maintaining itself. So I think that's a very, very good takeaway. And we already know that hypothetically EVs in Europe is one of those things that demand is just going to increase over time. It's enough so that they might not even have enough supply. So this is why it's a very good thing that Lucid is transitioning to Europe to take advantage of all of that demand. That's why I really like Lucid's expansion, is wherever they're expanding, there's a massive amount of demand. And this chart, like I've already touched on in previous videos, I believe they're estimating it to be roughly about 10 times this for the demand. So that's more so by 2025. So the fact that they're going to be having that Saudi Arabia facility by 2025 to actually be able to ship all the vehicles to Europe is a very big deal. I really like that because it also does cut down on transportation costs very, very significantly. So this is my own 2 cents. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence at the end of the day. Let me know your thoughts on all of this, but I'm a very big fan of Europe and that whole expansion out there. So I think that's going to be a very good thing. And clearly, we haven't really seen too much from the showcasing, but most likely it would have given a lot of good free PR, like I already said. But when it comes down to ETFs, big money, what they're actually doing, like I said, even for a Friday, a lot of big money is getting in. But ETFs. So as of right now, there's currently 108 ETFs that hold Lucid. I've touched on this a couple times in the past, roughly about 1 month ago and 2 months ago. Last month, there was only 102. 2 months ago, I believe there was around 95. So the fact that just in a 2-month span, we've gotten roughly about 13 additional ETFs looking at Lucid, most likely because it got hit so hard. So it has that value aspect as well. But regardless of why these ETFs did get in, the fact that 108 now ETFs hold Lucid is a very, very big deal. And if you want to look here, this is under Ortex as well. I do have a link to them in the description below if you're interested. Just looking vaguely at the holders, we already know the PIF does have 1.02 billion, then Michael Clean, Vanguard, BlackRock, but a lot of the Vanguard and BlackRock ETFs have been increasing their position over the last little bit as well. So it could be maybe one of those 2 big players in Lucid are adding Lucid to one of their ETFs. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on and all that, but definitely a lot of big players in Lucid, and it's been like that since the get-go. So you never know, right? It could be one of the small players, but regardless of all of that, big money is still seeing Lucid as a very big deal going forward, because I don't think 108 ETFs would have Lucid in their portfolios and positions if they thought it was going to go down. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. Looking at the technicals though, for it being a Friday, is fairly good. So I'm just going to give you a good representation of what is happening behind the scenes. As of right now, I have the 5100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. And so funny enough, I've been bringing it up over the last couple of videos how retail presence have been really holding its value. It's been diamond handing, not really selling off as a lot of expectation was, with the exception of today. Today, a lot of retail presence clearly is going down, but despite that though, it was very good. Looking at stochastic, we are currently at 24, so very oversold, but no defined trend as of right now. RSI is currently at 40 as well. On the actual chart, lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, but I know a lot of people aren't really happy with Lucid's performance on how it basically went from 17 down to roughly about 14 and a half, or wherever we are now. I think a lot of people aren't necessarily happy with that, but if you take a step back and compare Lucid with a lot of other growth stocks, we're doing significantly better. So just to put that in perspective, we're looking at some of the Fibonacci right now. So 1424 is where we are at, currently between the S2 and the S1. A lot of other growth stocks have been completely slammed and are currently trading between the S3 and the S2. So I know a lot of people aren't necessarily happy the fact that Lucid is where we are, but we've been holding significantly better than other growth stocks. So I think if you couple all of this together, so what I always like to do is look what's happening behind the scenes. So the fact that Lucid's holding its support very well, ETFs is adding obviously as well. Big money continues to buy both on the secondary market and the dark pool. So couple all of that together, those are very bullish signals. So those are very good reasons why you need to buy. Like I always say, this is only for entertainment purposes though, so make sure you guys do your own due diligence. But with all that, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe, is always greatly appreciated. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that, appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.